Live One Royal Way, back at it here on Kansas City Sports Network. I'm Joel Penfield, and joining me tonight for a little bit of a longer episode to put a bookend on the first half of the season as we head into the All-Star break, Kevin O'Brien of Royals Pipeline, KCSN Live, Royals post-game show, all that good stuff. I think this is your first time on this particular outfit. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. It's just nice. We're finally at the All-Star break, which is great, and we just finished the draft, which is great, but it's not been a great first half for the Royals, so it's wish things were a little bit better on that end.
Yeah, you lose 5-6 to end the for on the road trip on the East Coast to end the first half of the year. Get to the All-Star break at 38-59, which I have not checked the standings, but if I venture to guess, that's the one of, if not the worst record in the league. I would imagine we're sitting around one of the worst run differentials in the league as well. Just bad all around, pretty much at this point here in Kansas City with the way things have gone this season.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's one of those things that our expectations were very high, at least like reasonably high. And I mean, this team has been bad. It's been close to 2023 levels for sure, at least like 2022 levels in some ways. This last series was kind of a microcosm of that. They started off pretty well and they had a shot to win, and then they lost it, and then they just looked like they were sleepwalking the last two games of the series, and that's just been kind of just what this season has been all about. Some promise, and then just a lot of sleepwalking when they need it the most.
Yeah, you lose that game on Friday, and then Saturday felt like a 1-2-3 Cancun game.
Yeah,
like I think we all need to, for the most part, get away from the game for just a couple of days. At least the few of us that are not all stars and not participating and stuff. But yeah, three-way tie or actually tied for the worst, because the Rockies are a game up in the win column. Not ideal. And you're tied with the Angels for the worst record in the league. It's a really, really rough spot to be in. We'll talk through each game of this series, and then talk some more draft. If you guys watched the first round live stream or caught any of it, we'll rehash some of that and the guys that they picked today in rounds 5 through 20. A lot of names to go through, a few intriguing names in there as well. A little bit of what's gone wrong, as you guys, if you're watching this live, the title card of evaluating what's gone wrong. There's a lot, but we'll try and hit a few of those things. Home Run Derby, All-Star Game preview, all that good stuff coming at you here on Sunday night or Monday morning if you're on the audio side. Appreciate you guys as well. And this show, as always, brought to you by Emprise Bank. Member FDIC, our partners in Possible here at Kansas City Sports Network. Can't thank them enough for their support over the last few seasons and everything they've done for us at KCSN. All right, Friday night, you lose 5-3. You were relatively competitive for the most part. Lewinder did his usual. I'm going to get you 5 innings. I'm going to keep you in the ball game. Not his best command in some areas, but again, you still see the stuff. You see the promise that he provides. 2 solid innings from Steven Cruz and Daniel Lynch. Steven Cruz continues to pitch really well as of late. And then in very predictable fashion, Matt Strong gave up a 2-run home run to take the lead, because that's just what has happened. And of course, it happens in the bottom of the 8th after you get the lead, when Isaac Collins hits a go-ahead home run in the top of the 8th. And yeah, Matt Strom did the Matt Strom thing that he's done for most of this year, which is give up homers. And gave up one to Samuel Basayo, kept it fair, and you lose the game 5-3.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it was kind of like, again, that's a very typical way that we've seen the Royals lose this year. Is the starting pitching was fine, not great, but it was fine. It did enough to get you to win. They had some big hits. Isaac Collins having a big hit in this one, and then it's just like, and again, we'll probably talk a little bit about more, but it's just been that rinse and repeat with Matt Strom. Just like when you think like, okay, he's going to turn things around and things are getting better, he's giving up home runs, and that's just been his problem this year. Is he's giving up home runs. The stuff is not there. It's yes, he has outings where he looks okay, but for a guy who is supposed to be a very battle-tested dude, he's been anything but this year, and he's been anything but dependable. And And again, that's just a big problem is just this bullpen. You got maybe one or two guys you kind of hope through, and then you just are crossing your fingers and just hoping that the other team just hits some hard hit balls into fielders' gloves because you don't feel like they're going to get the big strikeout when they need.
Yeah, that's we'll talk a little bit about that particular trade and stuff later on. But yeah, I mean, it's been a disaster, obviously. But to the point, I do want to. One, Jack hit a home run in this game.
Yeah.
Kind of, he had gone a little bit. I think he had gone since that Rays series. Since he hit a home run, I heard from a friend in the organization that if Cags had hit a home run during the homestand prior to the road trip, that they were going to throw on the big screen that he was going to do the home run derby. But because he did it on the road trip, they ended up doing it on MLB Network, and that was part of why he and Carter were on it earlier this week. But he's doing the derby, and we'll talk more about that later. But hilarious home run. Because I looked at that and I'm like, I think he mishit that. Mm-hmm. And he hit it 100 miles an hour, 370 feet.
Yes. Yeah.
Which, again, just speaks to the stupid power that he has that kind of reminded me a little bit of the home run he hit in Seattle back at I think that was the beginning of May or beginning of June, when he catches the back underside of the ball and he hits it. You think it's a routine pop-up or maybe it gets the warning track and then it's 8 rows deep. Again, it's just the type of power he possesses, and when he's able to tap into it, it's special. Collins with the home run, dead center field, and he's been a significant home road split guy. Loves hitting at Kauffman Stadium. Has really not hit on the road at all this year. Had a pretty nice road trip, and for as maligned as he may be, he's a 100 weighted runs created plus guy on the year. I mean, he has actually been way better than I think a lot of people have given him credit for, because I think a lot of people wrote him off in April when he really got off to a rough start, but has hit the ball really well lately. And he actually ended up with an RBI triple today early in this game. So he's rounding into form a little bit from a bit of a slow start. But again, we'll talk more about Collins in a little while. Saturday's game, like I said, it felt like 1-2-3 Cancun. They go down, they lose 6-1. Shout out Noah Cameron for getting them through 7. He did not pitch well. That's pretty damning with faint praise, because he gave up 5 earned runs and 3 home runs. And one of them, Kobe Mayo, I don't think that ball's landed yet out in left field. You're no hit by Kyle Bradish into the 7th inning. Jam shot single by Jac Caglianone in the 7th inning ends up getting the Royals off the schneid there when they really had put together nothing. Bradish goes 6 2/3, 2 hits to 1 earned run on a sac fly from from Salvador Perez, and then 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. He just had nothing for him. A couple hard hit balls in there, some rough luck in there, but I mean, just nothing. And then Eli Morgan gives up a home run for good measure in the 8th inning, and that's all she wrote there. Really not much on this game at all, purely because they didn't do anything outside that 7th inning.
Yeah, and that was, and it was just a tough game just all around for the bats. I mean, Bobby just really looked bad in that game. He was just chasing.
Really rough. Oh, man. Yeah. Like, you can tell it was one of those games for a couple of those guys where they could tell, we don't have it today. I got to try and make something happen. And Bobby was swinging. It was one of those games where you could throw the rosin bag up there to Bobby. He would have tried to shoot it down the right field line. A lot of chase in that. It was not an ideal game for him at all.
Yeah, it just really was a tough one, and if you look at his stats, I mean, his splits, Camden has been a place where he hasn't always hit well. I think his career OPS is about 646 there. And and again, it might just be Baltimore's good, but it could also be the fact that, I do think Bobby can be a guy that's very sensory, and it's just like, is there just something about Camden Yards that just throws him off? Like I said, I thought he looked better today, but it's those, like yesterday against Bradish, some of those pitches were almost to like the dugout, and he was just swinging, and it's like, boy, he's just not picking it up at all. And then if Bobby's not going, that affects the whole offense, especially even with Vinny back. I mean, Carter, had a rough series this series. It's really hard to do much when you're 1 and 2 are kind of not really being all that consistent.
Yeah, no, it's not been. And then today it wasn't much better. You lose 8-2, and you start off, it's 1-0 in the second on Isaac Collins triple, his first of the year. But you go right into the 2nd inning, and giving up a home run to Leody Taveras in
Yeah.
2026 is a pretty tough one. Fastball down the middle, he hits at 450 feet. Lugo was okay. Pitch count was really inefficient.
Yeah.
It's near 90 pitches, only gets through 4 innings. Now, Noah Cameron going 7 the day before, felt like they didn't need to stretch him before the All-Star break, so get him out of there. 4 hits, 2 earned, 6 strikeouts, and 2 walks. They were able to rack up some strikeouts in the last couple of games of this series. This lineup can be pretty susceptible to it in Baltimore. So, to credit where it's due in that regard. But Shane Baz, similarly inefficient, but 9 strikeouts, no walks, only gives up the 1 run. But it's a 2-1 game. You feel like, or it's 2-2 actually. I'm sorry, I apologize. And we're getting into the late innings, and Matt Strahm comes back in. Now, a little bit of bad luck in regard of a fly ball that Tyler O'Neill hits. The Jack loses in the sun. It probably should have been a routine out, and things just unraveled from there. A single by Taveras, a ground rule double by Jeremiah Jackson as a pinch hitter. It's 4-2. A balk scores a run. Gunnar Henderson, lefty, scores a run. Matt Strahm leaves in a third of an inning in the 6th. 5 runs given up, all of them earned. 1 walk, 1 strikeout. The ERA now is up to 7.18.
I know. I mean, again, it's hard because I understand that he's a veteran, and I know that some teams are going to say, "Hey, this is just a bad stretch," but gosh, man, like he's almost like it's counterintuitive to have him pitch innings in any kind of leverage now. Not even just like high leverage or low leverage. It's like he can't pitch in anything. But I don't know. I mean, it's like, you just DFA him at that point. It's like, but at this point, like it still feels like it's kind of early. He's just a big dilemma for this team and it's a big dilemma because he's going to be a free agent next year. So it's not like we have to keep on. He's not trending in the right direction. And again, he's just not really providing anything in any terms of value. Daniel Lynch is obviously good enough as their left-handed reliever. Like he's taken over that role. I think there's other relievers that have more upside. But then again, it's like, is Mason Black an answer? Is some of those other guys an answer? And that's the problem. There isn't. So it's like you might as well try to ride it out with Strahm. Hopefully he has a solid few weeks, and then maybe you can get something for him at the trade deadline. But I feel like with each outing, he's just ruining that trade value, and people are just saying, yeah, he's washed up. I don't think we need him for our stretch run.
Yeah, and if you go back to 2025, he had a 33% chase rate. He really didn't get barreled up at all. That was 95th percentile, 4.3%. The expected ERA was 2.78. The expected batting average was 197. He had a 27% strikeout rate, 7% walk rate, and now this year the strikeouts are way down. Walks are in a similar place, but the strikeouts are down to 17%. He still shows there's probably some positive regression coming, to some degree, because the expected ERA is at 3.82.
Right.
And the expected batting average is 225, but he's getting barreled up. There's his ground ball rate. He's not a ground ball guy, even at this point in his career. He's not getting the same amount of chase. He's not getting the same amount of whiff. It may just be that he's done, right? And this is part of the risk of relievers. It is the volatility of relievers that their primes and their peaks are very few and far between. There are very few examples of guys that are able to sustain it for very, very long. And those are the guys that end up in the Hall of Fame. Even if you look at a Wade Davis, it was an awesome 3-4 year peak. But after that, he went to Colorado where he's pitching on the moon, but it ended very quickly, right, for him. So that's just the way it kind of goes for some of these guys. But to go from, I liked the trade at the time. We'll talk about it more later. It obviously blew up in their face, and they're going to have to own that. Even if maybe the process I understood, it doesn't look great now, and having Jonathan Bolin in your bullpen would help a hell of a lot right now with the way he's been pitching in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing, right? It's in some ways it's hard to fault the process, because I don't think if you asked any Royals fan back in March saying, hey, what do you think about the Matt Strahm deal? I don't think anybody would have said, "Oh, terrible deal. That's going to blow up in their face." I think everybody would have said, "Oh, wow, this is a great move. This is going to help the bullpen. Strom's a proven guy." But again, like the lack of strikeouts is a concern. I mean, a 10% drop in K rate from one season to the next, and he hasn't even had anything sub 20 since 2021 in terms of K rate. That's just a red flag, and it's just like, and again, it doesn't seem to be injury related. The expected ERA numbers are better, and like you said, we hope the regression is going to come. But just when you think it's starting to come, it just kind of pops right back up again, and that's just a really tough thing to really predict. And again, so I think it's hard for like fans. Like sometimes we say like, oh yeah, this guy sucks and they should have saw it coming. I don't think anybody saw that coming in March. Just like I don't think anybody saw it coming with Salvi in March either. I mean, I think we all thought like, okay, like maybe he'll have some regression, but we've been saying that about Salvi for 2 years now, and he kept hitting 30 home runs. And
no one thought that he would have gone from fine-ish to one of the worst qualified hitters in the league. Like, yeah, there are certain like age regression happens, but yes, you can't like, and there's only so much you're able to throw on a spreadsheet and actually model out. Like the reason why they play the game on the field, similar to, I think there's a little bit of a corollary here now with them signing Will Smith in 2024, coming off of 2023. Now, much different player because Matt Strom had two very, very high-level years. Will Smith, we kind of knew was on the back nine, right? Like that, we understood that. But even in 2023, expected ERA was in the mid threes. Chase rate was 34%. The whiff rate was 29%. Walk rate was at 7.5, and the strikeout rate was 24%. So not awesome. And also very similarly, not a ground ball guy. So there's a little bit of change here. You go to 2024, the strikeout rate dropped to 15%. The walk rate stayed about the same. The chase dropped nearly 7%. The whiff rate dropped significantly as well. And he was done, right? And it wasn't even like he had anything expected to lean on. Like, it just happens for these guys. But that's also something you have to identify as a front office. Like, these are the things you have to, manage the risk of guys falling off a cliff. And now that's couple years in a row where there are 2 or 3 years where we have multiple examples of the team signing guys or putting assets into guys that the minute that they get to Kansas City, they've fallen off, right? Stratton, Will Smith, and then now Strom this year. I'm trying to think if there was an example last year. I'm sure there was, but it's escaping me. But it's been a massive problem for them. And some of it's injury related with Carlos Estevez, but who knows at this point, if he was even going to be able to hold up for the rest of this year, if they got the one good year and then he fell off a cliff too.
Yeah. And I think we've talked about this before. I think that just begs the question of, is there a flaw in how they develop in a bullpen? And I do think you think about, it's not just, if you look at bullpen, it's not just Jonathan Bolin, who's been a big loss. Taylor Clark has actually been like a decent reliever this year. And that was a guy that they just non-tendered. And they just said, oh, we're just going to non-tender him. And he's been a decent reliever. He has a 2.68 ERA. He's not a strikeout machine, but he's a ground ball machine, 49.6. I mean, I guess he doesn't walk guys. He was perfectly fine last year. And I sometimes think that, do the Royals get a little bit seduced by the name? It's like, oh, a Will Smith, oh, a Chris Stratton, oh, a Matt Strom. And then are they like ignoring like, hey, what are the actual skills that guys are producing? Because I think if you look at the bullpen, I think the most promising reliever skill-wise is Steven Cruz. And I think it's a guy that, because he throws heat, the stuff metrics are there. Yes, he gives up the home runs, but the expected metrics are better. But I feel like a lot of good organizations have guys like that in their bullpen. And the Royals just have struggled to find that, and it feels like they're trying to build their bullpen through free agency. And I think that's a little bit of a futile effort. Like, I think you got to build it within. I think you got to build it with trades. I think you got to take some risks with guys, maybe move guys who are middling starters in double and triple A and start moving them to the bullpen soon. You got to get innings. I get Henry Williams has to have innings, but Henry Williams is not going to be a starter at the major league level. Why not give him a shot to be a reliever? I think that's just something that the Royals do, is they're very slow when it comes to moving these guys for whatever reason. And I think that kind of hurts them in the end.
Yeah, it's why like the joke of a reliever is a failed starter. At a certain point, you just got to know what a guy is and move him to the bullpen. Mm-hmm. Listen, I'm not a Frank Mazzucato guy at all. I kind of want to see what he looks like in the bullpen, just see what happens, because he's not a starter, right? I think they need to give up that dream and see if maybe the vert on his fastball and a velo ticks up a little and it plays with the curveball and see what happens. Like they need to do that with more guys. And they've tried to do this in the last couple of drafts with Brian Bridges, where he's drafting college relievers because they're trying to build this thing to go, right? Colleran, Langevin, who put that guy in Kansas City right now because he punches out the world. Like, who knows? There's not much more reason for him to be in high A. Like, I don't see. He's punched nearly 70 tickets in 38 innings. Like, it's crazy. But there's just a lot of this here, man. Like, there's a lot of issues with this. Like, that you can't be 38 and 59 without a lot of issues. And we'll get into some of that here in a little bit. I think that I don't really have any more thoughts on this series. It sucked. It was bad. They really weren't competitive beyond the 8th inning of the game on Friday. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the nice thing is we had the draft to kind of distract us from on Saturday and Sunday, and good thing because the games were kind of duds on Saturday and Sunday. Especially with Sunday, just kind of Lugo's kind of struggles continue, and that's another one that's just like, boy, man, that's another one that's kind of blown up in their face a little bit, especially from the trade deadline, where they were at one point it was like, okay, what can we get for Seth Lugo? And now it's like, we're kind of stuck with Seth Lugo right now, and it's not trending in the right direction.
And I mean, they're still on the hook for probably $40 million.
Yeah,
because no one's trading for that guy, and if he hits and if he throws, I think it's 140 innings next year, that option automatically vests for the 3rd year. So it's not even like the Royals have an out, in that regard. And I don't think anyone has taken that on right now. We talked about that earlier this week. We need to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk a little more about the MLB draft, wrap up some thoughts on the first pick now that the dust has kind of settled on it, and then the rest of their picks right after this.
With Yucca Boom Color Bar, what we're offering is luxury color services, but we're doing it on our client schedules. Didn't want to feel like or be a traditional salon. We wanted it to really feel like something completely different, especially for the Kansas City area. What we were trying to do is trying to find a brick and mortar that we could put a salon in, and it got complicated. And so what we ended up doing was pivoting, and we went into like a business acquisition mode where we were going to find a hair salon and then we were going to turn it into what we wanted to do. And Emprise was 100% behind that.
Like, we didn't just have a contact, we had a team, and they cared, and
we never sat in limbo at all with Emprise. They pushed us through, they helped us, support us, and not only that, but they've been our biggest cheerleaders since the day one.
Everybody who wanted our money, it was very difficult, it was very challenging part of it, but the people who were giving us the money, Emprise Bank, that was the easiest part. So we will always be grateful to Emprise.
I'm Cricket.
I'm JC.
And together we're the owners of Yucca Boom Color Bar.
Come see us at Park Place.
David Starnes Allstate Insurance is a proud partner of KC Sports Network, serving the Kansas City area and all throughout the Midwest. If you are looking for new coverage or something that better suits your home, auto, health, or any of your other insurance needs, give Dave and his team a call. Elevate your coverage and be worry-free with David Starnes Allstate Insurance.
You know that moment, the one when you realize you left your favorite sunglasses at the beach or on the roof of your car or at the gas station 3 states away. Well, I've been there too. But then I found Shady Rays and it changed the game. These sunglasses are made for real life. Seriously, good-looking, polarized, durable, not stupidly expensive. Here's the wild part. If you lose them or break them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair. No guilt trip, just replacements. So now I can actually wear my sunglasses without fear, on hikes, at concerts, on the boat, wherever. They have sunglasses for golfing, fishing, hiking, and biking, even sunglasses for kids. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. Go to shadyrays.com and use code KCSN for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. thank you guys once again for watching this. If you're watching live on a Sunday night, like and subscribe. If you're on the audio side, leave a 5-star review. We appreciate your guys' support through this very terrible baseball season that it has been. Okay, so the draft is done. Rounds 1 through 4 were Saturday. Today on Sunday, rounds 5 through 20, fast and furious, went through. 20 new players drafted by the Kansas City Royals. The big one that people are still talking about, still have their opinions about, is the first pick they made, 6th overall. We were live for it. We were going off of Joe Doyle from Overslot is as plugged in as anyone. He was tipping picks, and we thought it was going to be Eric Booth Jr. So did he. That was the intel that he got. Then we got the hold on. There might be something else here, which we're thinking, okay, hey, is it Burris? Did they cut a deal with, did they get something done with Lombard or whoever? And it ends up being Zion Rose, Louisville outfielder who was projected to go kind of late first round-ish. But the Royals ended up taking him 6th overall in what we believe to be an underslot deal of some kind. And Kevin, Jared, and I were apoplectic. Like, what is happening here? Because, and I think some of it is I think we would have been stunned either way, but more stunned in that we thought it was going to be Eric Booth Jr. for it then to become Zion Rose. I didn't like it at the time. I'm still kind of wrestling with it, but I think as the dust has settled, I like the player. And I said that yesterday. I like the player. I think he's good. I think he is super. I think he's got some really good tools. I think there's some more ceiling that he can get to. This isn't like a senior sign, high floor college guy. I think there is some legitimate upside here. Still have yet to see how the money is going to be moved around to fully understand the process of it. Maybe that will help inform the opinion as we go forward. But also what's informed some of my opinion and why I'm softening on my hard stance of I think they overthought the room is Joe Doyle talked about how Zion Rose had a lot of late helium and is probably a top 15 player in this class. Baseball America said something similar, that if you weigh it, and some of it is probably that Zion Rose played only 36 games this year. If he played a full college season, maybe he's in the 20s or the teens, and this looks a little bit different. But there seems to be not a consensus, but an understanding in the industry and those that watch college baseball, follow the draft, that think the Royals actually made a good pick here, and they didn't overthink the room the way that we maybe initially thought, the way the people that are Royals fans that may not follow the draft as closely and just see the name and see the player as differently. How are you falling on this? I've softened a little bit on where I was yesterday when I was near catatonic when I read the tweet.
I'm kind of the same, and I think I've sat with it and I've looked at it, and the reports have been coming in, and I'll just be honest. Like I don't dive into college baseball as much as a lot of people out there. I don't dive into it like Jared does or Joe Doyle does, So it's like I'm still learning about guys even more. I mean, I've watched some college baseball, obviously. Like I said, I think both of us said, wow, Zion Rose is at 30. He would have been great. And then he went up. And I think the reality was that I think the Royals were just like, it's either going to come down between Booth or Rose. And I think they kind of were like, well, maybe Rose is similar to Booth, and it's just a little bit closer to the big leagues, and that's what we're going to do. And I think another thing that you hit the nail on the head is that his stats are really good, and it would have been really interesting to see what he would have done in a full season. Because if you look at what he was doing in that 30-game sample or 36-game sample, it was impressive. I mean, this is a guy that makes a lot of contact, that walks more than he strikes out, that steals a ton of bases, that has really athletic tools in the outfield. I mean, this is kind of what we want, right? I mean, I think if you said to and you gave him all that profile, I think we'd say, wow, that's a really good profile. Yeah, that's what we'd want as a first-round pick. And I think it's important to distinguish that this isn't like a Frank Mozzicato, where it's
correct. Yes.
Guy or even a Blake Mitchell, where it's like, hey, this is a prep guy. I mean, this is a proven guy. And I think I I respect the Royals in the sense of saying we like Rose. We're not going to risk it. We like Rose more than Burris. I think that's kind of where it boiled down to. Is I think they just like Zion Rose more than Drew Burris, and I know a lot of people would disagree with them on that, but you got to respect them for saying, you know what, this is our guy. We're going to go after him, and not messing around in that end. And I think it opened up a lot of stuff in this draft too. If you look at how the draft fell. And I think when you look at the draft as a whole, I think Rose makes a little bit more sense. But I think it's also a win because I think he's also a guy that can move quickly and get to the major leagues quickly.
Yeah, I initially yesterday, I'm like, this doesn't read to me like a fast-moving prospect, right? And that was my initial read on it. But after diving into it a little bit more, watching some more film, watching some of his at-bats, watching his swing, and seeing some of the, the dude is really tooled up. Like there is the bat to ball is legit. I think there's maybe a little bit more power in there that I gave it credit for when I looked at it yesterday. Maybe just a couple of swing changes. And this is now, and talking about that, this is now a major test for the development in the minor leagues.
Yes.
Like, are they going to be able to tap into a little bit more with this guy? Is there more that they can teach him? Because Cags is in a bit of a different class because of how quickly he got through the minor leagues. I almost throw him in a separate category. But the hitting development in this organization has really stagnated since the class of Vinny, Bobby. They're not as good of players, but that in that class of MJ and Prado, Michael, like that group of prospects that got the Royal, that were like top 5 farm system in the league. Since then, we really haven't seen a lot. Like Carter Jensen is really one of the only legitimate prospects that's come up and hit and done well at the big league level in any stretch. So this is going to be a test. If you're going to underslot here and you're going to take a tooled up kid that, has some upside that maybe there's a little more there, this is a test for your development. And if there are questions about the defense, because he was a catcher and then they moved him out into the outfield. If there's anyone I trust to teach outfield, they still have Rusty Kuntz in this organization.
Yeah.
And I imagine that he looks at that kid and goes, oh, I can turn him into a plus defender. Like, I would not be shocked by that. So this is going to be a huge test for the organization with what they're going to be able to accomplish with him. But I think he's a good player. There's upside. There's a floor that feels fairly safe, but not like a floor that is so high that there is no more ceiling for him to reach. And I think that's where I've come to as I've gone through this. This is not an underslot pick that was, like you mentioned, like a Frank Mazzucato, where you're like, what are we doing here? Underslotting a prep lefty with the 8th overall pick with the way the draft had fallen at that point. Underslotting Blake Mitchell when you had a college catcher that probably would be really nice to have right now at the big league level. This is a little bit of a different case, and it is not the Royals being cheap. It is not the Royals trying to, just save money, right? Like they are going and getting a legitimately good player. They just went about it a little bit differently than any of us thought. And I think that's why we were shocked by it, given how good we perceive the top of this class to be.
Yeah. And like you said, I think we thought that Booth was going to be the pick. And I think if that doesn't happen, how do we feel about it? Does it change? But, like I said, I respect it. I think it's like, hey, if you're going for a college outfielder, I think this makes a lot of sense. I guess the only other option would have been Burris. But I think other than that, Booth is unproven, right? Lombard's unproven. I mean, they have to prove that they can at least handle low A ball. Zion Rose has proven that he can handle D1 ACC. He's played in a College World Series. I mean, so it's like he's played in big moments. And that's what I think we want. I think in some cases, like that's how we value guys. That's why we valued guys like Kyle Teal and Matt Shaw and those guys before, because we said those guys are proven. Well, JJ got somebody like that. So I think that's going to be like I said, it's going to be a really big test. But I'm a lot more excited for Rose now that the chaos of everything has subsided.
Yeah, and for those that may not know much about the stats or anything for Zion Rose, and we'll put a book on him, put a bow on him, and go to something else. Last year in his full season as a sophomore, and I think that was when he came out from behind the plate in 66 games, /310, 396, 552, 109 weighted runs created plus, hit 13 home runs, 67 RBIs, and 31 stolen bases. This year, he only played 36 games. Now, as I read into that, a lot of that missed time was at the beginning of the year. So this was predominantly in conference play, ACC play, into regionals and things like that. Slash 417, 491, 646, and 173 plate appearances this season. 24 stolen bases in those 36 games, and a 147 weighted runs created plus. I would have loved to see what if you had gotten a 60 to 70 game sample, what some of these numbers could have looked like. Maybe would give you a little more intrigue. Maybe would feel different about the pick if we had more data to play with as a junior. But again, like the stats back it up. Like clearly a field to hit, a little bit of enough power to make you think about it a little bit. He's not just a slasher, and legitimate speed and learning the outfield. But I give a solid athlete an opportunity to figure out the outfield. Like I think he's probably going to be able to. Plus, so now I imagine they'll special assignment Rusty Kuntz to Quad Cities, where Zion Rose should go, and give him the opportunity to figure it out. I don't know if he's a center fielder yet, but I think the athlete is there to where I'm not going to rule out the opportunity for him to become an outfielder in Kansas City.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if they tested it out. The Royals have definitely done that before. I mean, I know you look at a guy like Sean Gamble, they've put in center field and just let him figure it out. And I think the athleticism is there, and so I'm really again, I think it's a good pick. I think it's if you go beyond the pipeline ranking, right? I think
Correct.
I think there's a lot. He looks a lot better, and if he's like he was seen as somewhere like in the 15 range. 12 to 15. Well, that's not so bad at 6. I think, and so I think that's, I think we can look a little bit more favorably on this pick the day after.
I think so too. And then they go and get Taylor Rabe at 30, pitcher out of Ole Miss, 6'5", 200. The big thing for me that I think it's the most easily translatable skill to professional baseball is just the ability to throw strikes.
Yeah.
And he struck out 105 guys in 76 innings with 15 walks only. Gave up the home run ball a little bit, but you're also dealing with offensive environments in the SEC and BB Core. So, take that with a grain of salt. But a 3.55 ERA, this really intriguing arm fastball that has touched upper 90s, sits around 96. Very intrigued by him. And then the second round pick, this might be where you get a little bit of some of that slot money going. With Jack Caglianone, a prep right-handed pitcher from Illinois, 6'5", 215, fastball that reaches 96 with some carry and arm side run. Still got to work on some of the secondaries, but I think a 6'5" frame with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball is a good moldable clay. But the other side of the coin here is we saw this in 2023 when they took a big framed right-handed prep pitcher from Illinois in Blake Walters, and that has, to be as nice as I can to Blake Walters, fallen on its face. It took him 3 go-rounds at low A and gets to high A this year and has a 12 ERA. So it has not gone well. Prep righties are the most volatile profile when you think about draft type. So we'll see what they can do. That was not 2023 was not a Brian Bridges draft.
Yeah,
Brian Bridges has done a good job drafting pitchers in the last couple. Clearly has a good eye for it. When you look at David Shields, Michael Lombardi, Bonjavin, those types. So we'll see what this has. But again, this is a very intriguing arm if it works out. But again, prep righty, you have a little bit of reservation about it.
It is, yeah, and I think and that's going to be the key thing. Is this going to be a guy maybe closer to Walters who really just struggles to adjust? And I think Walters has shown some promising signs, but I think Walters is proving that he's probably a reliever, not really a starter at this point. But you also had some of those prep arm success, like you said, David Shields, who has just been phenomenal, in his time as a prospect. And it's just been really interesting, right? Just because, again, they went all in on pitching in this draft. 16 of their 21 picks were pitchers, and they went with a lot of college pitchers, but they had some intriguing prep arms. Slydom is one of those intriguing prep arms. In the 19th round, they had Hudson Devon, who was ranked 138th. is an interesting prep arm. So they kind of supplemented, which I think is going to come from the savings of that Zion Rose pick, to supplement some other late picks that probably in other years they probably wouldn't be able to sign, but maybe they have a better chance. And I think for a team that I think understands pitching was a weakness this year at the major league level, I think they're doing I think they said we're going to get guys who can move quick, guys who throw strikes, and guys that can really light up the strike zone, because that's been a problem for them at the major league level this year.
Yep, that's the best way to help supplement some of this. And I think that it's interesting because they've taken a lot of guys that are college relievers. Yeah. Usually you don't draft those dudes high, right? Like when you're a college reliever, it's like, okay, like one trick pony kind of, but that's the fastest way to supplement the bullpen, just like we talked about earlier. Like the best way to get this thing going is to do that rather than trying to trade and do it through free agency, because good relievers don't often hit free agency, or very rarely they do, or it costs you a pretty penny when they do. Are there any other names that really stuck out to you from this class? A couple more names, and then maybe we can move forward.
Yeah, I think some names I really like. Ethan McIlvain in the 5th round from Arkansas, 144th ranked pitcher or player by Pipeline. 2-pitch pitcher, but was a really solid lefty at Arkansas. He did some starting at Vanderbilt. He could be an interesting guy that could flip between starter or reliever. I think the stuff is really there, so he's a really nice one. Camden Johnson was kind of an underslot pick at 9th round, part of that national championship Oklahoma team. Shortstop, could probably play a lot of different positions, was 116th ranked, and the Royals got him at the 269th round. So expect some of that savings that the Royals got to be there.
Yeah, he'll probably get close to $1 million. Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, he's going to be the benefit of, this is why Rose went 1st round, and he's going to be the big benefit. And then another one that I really am kind of intrigued by is Dominic Bautista, prep outfielder from Chicago area, Oswego East. Not ranked on Pipeline, but if you kind of talk to a lot of people, there's a lot of people have kind of said that this is an intriguing pick. This is kind of a late riser. He's pretty raw, but they say that has a lot of potential. He has a UIC commitment, so I don't think that's like a crazy commitment. But the Royals have had success with some UIC guys, with Luke Pelzer being kind of the one that was a University of Illinois Chicago player, and he's been very good in high A's, probably going to double A. So Dominic Bautista is kind of a guy that I was really intrigued by, because his name wasn't really on my radar. And then kind of looking into him, I think there was more there.
I wonder if you get some savings with him, because it's not like if he was a Bama commit, hey, you may need to give him full slot. But going to University of Illinois Chicago, again, all respect to that university, you probably can give him money that would pay for that school, like pay for his school, and then bounce. And then, hey man, head to Surprise and go play some ball here, and kind of figure it out. Camden Johnson was the name that stuck out to me. A guy that played at Wichita State for 2 years and then transferred to OU and was part of the national championship team at the University of Oklahoma. But slash 298, 403, 478, saw a slug uptick going to the SEC. Saw like strikeout rate increased a fair amount, but that's again going from the American Conference to the SEC. Bit of a jump up in competition at the college level, but still a over 100 weighted runs created plus. Can really pick it on the left side. Legit 70 grade runner. I think. Then I talked with my buddy Alex Duvall about this. That feels like they might try and make him a super utility guy, like kind of in the like a souped up Nick Lofton. Yep. Kind of where he can play third, he can play short, he can play the outfield. Legit runner, 31 stolen bases this year when he only had 16 combined in the previous 2 years at Wichita State. So that is a very intriguing guy to me, and to get him where they did, he's going to be the beneficiary of some of that extra money. I don't really have too many others. You got a lot of senior signs, some reliever types. 7th round, they took Dylan Vigay. Is that
Vigay.
Yeah. Again, college reliever, 95 to 98 with a sinker slider. It was a guy that I think you guys, when you did your mock draft on Friday before on Royals Pipeline, you and Jared both had him, and then I did one on my own, and I took him as well. I think it just all lined up perfectly for us. But hey, maybe it's a name to watch. Who knows? Maybe we're right. Maybe we know a thing or two. But as the money comes out and things like that, I think we'll be able to kind of get the full picture of what this class is going to look like. And Zion Rose is kind of the flashpoint for that, given how much money he ends up taking. I'd be shocked if it's more than 5. I talked about that yesterday. It feels like it's probably 4.5, which would be about a $3.2 million underslot, which then you can move that money around. And I imagine a good chunk of that is going to Camden Johnson. And then we'll see who else ends up getting a little bit of overslot. Maybe I think Slidham probably ends up a little bit over I think it's like a $1.2 million slot, somewhere around that in the second round. He gets a little bit of extra money because I believe he's an Alabama commit is what I read. So just a couple of names to watch, and we'll go from there. Okay, let's the title card here says evaluating what went wrong for the Royals in 2026. I think there's a lot here, unfortunately. The list is incredibly long. So I kind of want to take this a little bit of a different direction and kind of, now that we have a 90-some-odd game sample of the free agent signings, the trades, things like that, and kind of evaluating how we feel about those. I want to start with the first trade that they made this offseason, getting Isaac Collins and Nick Mears for Angel Serpa. How do you feel about that move now compared to how you felt at the time?
I think, to be honest, I feel like the same as kind of at the time of the trade. I think as much as success that Angel Serpa had with the Royals, I feel like we thought that was kind of a peak from what we saw. I mean, he kind of was a guy that was always going to be a decent reliever, but not one who could close games. And the Royals got another reliever, and they got an outfielder in the package. And Isaac Collins had a very slow start. There's no question about it. I was questioning, wow, I guess Milwaukee was giving him away for a reason. But he's been much better in June and July. He finally looks locked in. The defense has cleaned up. The base running, I mean, he still kind of makes some of those decisions, but it's been better. And I think Collins alone has been worth it over Serpa, because I mean Serpa's on the IL right now, and so then if we did have Serpa still, guess what? That's another guy that would have been on the IL, joining Carlos Estevez and James MacArthur and all the other players that we have on the IL. So I feel like a little bit better, just because Serpa hasn't come to bite us in the butt like some other relievers have or some other trades have had. And Collins, I thought, was a good player, and he's been the player that we've expected him to be.
Yeah, the slow start really colored a lot of this for a lot of people, including me. I was sitting there in the middle of April going, he still has all 3 minor league options.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have to do this. But to the credit of the organization, they stuck with him because they believed in the player. And listen, and this is not an incredibly small sample, but in 123 plate appearances since June 1st, he's slashing 274, 364, 415 with a 119 weighted runs created plus.
Yeah.
Like, that works, and that stretch has helped him get his season weighted runs created plus over 100, and the OPS is right around 700 or even a little bit over now. So and that's about what we thought he would be. Like, they were not getting this guy to be the difference maker, right?
Correct.
Like, he's going to be the player, but maybe he can be like a little bit better than that's not the right way to put it, but like a floor raiser. Like, he's going to get on base, he's going to put the ball in play. He's not a disaster in the field, and he was at the beginning of the year. He's cleaned some of that up. But it looks like the trade looks way better now, and obviously Serpa getting clipped colors some of that. But getting a player in Collins helps upgrade your outfield. And for as much crap as people give the roster, the outfield has not been the problem this year compared to where it has been in the past. And Collins has been a near everyday player, and he's been pretty good for the last 2+ months now.
Yeah. I mean, right now, like in the last couple of years, like who's been their best outfielder? It's like you had like Mike Yastrzemski for a half a season, and then Kyle Isbell, right? It's like MJ Melendez.
And Isbell's value is so different because he was a better offensive player this year, but last year we kind of knew exactly what Kyle Isbell was.
Right. And Collins has added some depth, and I think Collins has been a dependable bat. Caglianone has been a dependable bat. I mean, the outfield has been probably the best it's been in Quattro's tenure here, to be honest.
Correct.
And So I mean, I think that's a positive sign, and it's been one of the best outfielders, surprising, with Isbell on the shelf. I mean, probably the outfield that we have now with Collins, Thomas, and Cags is probably better right now than probably our opening day outfield, to be frank.
Yeah, I don't think you're that wrong there. Now let's go to Lane Thomas, who signed on a pretty cheap deal, to come to Kansas City, and I don't imagine he's going to be in Kansas City for more than another couple of weeks. I think he is going to end up getting moved. On the year, the numbers are what they are, but again, considering how he started to begin this year, again, colored the way that he was viewed by a lot of people. Yes. But now, with the larger sample and becoming an everyday player when he was not that to begin this year, /234, 335, 390 with a 102 weighted runs created plus. And that stretch, and that's been much better. That number, if I can pull a sample if you want for about a month. But again, a guy that at the end of the year looked like a disaster, and it's like, oh God, what are we doing here? To then, oh shoot, this guy's actually pretty good. And I thought about it more and realized he missed all of last year, pretty much. Yes. Like he almost did not play at all. So just getting his feet back underneath him at the big league level was probably April. And then by the middle of May, you start to see a little more. Over the last month or so, you see the power start to come for him. And it's like, oh, hey, this guy's pretty good. Right? And he's not going to get you a haul at the trade deadline, but you may get something semi-decent for him. Teams covet those types of platoon hitters that can hammer left-handed pitching, which is what he has done for his entire career. He's done that in Kansas City this year. And we'll see what he ends up doing. But again, I think when you look at some other guys that they could have gotten in this particular role, Lane Thomas ends up being one of the better options.
And I think that's a really interesting point because you're right. Like Lane Thomas missed a lot of last year due to injury, got off to a slow start. But the one thing that's been very consistent with him has been his plate discipline, 0.57 walk to K ratio. I mean, that's something that the Royals have not done very well in their time for a while. It's not just under Quachero, but even before under Matheny and even Yost. Another thing that we can think about too was also if you look at Collins, I know had gone through some injury issues too in spring training. And I wonder
that's right.
And I wonder if maybe some of those injury issues caused the slow start, caused some of the blunders in the outfield. So I think that's I think that's just one of those things of it because those guys weren't 100%. They started slow, but since they've been 100%, they've looked great. And like you said, Lane Thomas is not going to be around, but the fact that he's been playing every day, that's only going to increase his value in a trade because a team is going to say, yeah, maybe like Lane Thomas is a guy that can play against more than just against lefty starting pitchers, which I think is what everybody thought of him. Now it's like, hey, maybe he can play every day, and that's going to only help the Royals return. Yeah,
and he's a guy that I look at in a trade for a team. It's almost match made in heaven for Seattle. They need a right-handed hitting guy that can hit some left-handed pitching because they tried to get that in Rob Refsnyder, who, by the way, they paid more for than the Royals paid for Lane Thomas. And I don't know if you've seen Rob Refsnyder's numbers. He's on the shelf right now. Disaster doesn't even put it lightly. In 49 games this year, /133, 203, 219. That's a 24 weighted runs created plus. And again, the Royals gave him a couple $1 million, Lane Thomas, $2 million less. But the other guy that was talked about by Royals fans of go trade for this guy, go make this trade. This is the guy they need is Jarren Duran. And that was a trade that was talked about throughout the offseason. And then he doesn't get traded. And then he comes to Kansas City in that Boston series and he lights the world on fire. People think that he's actually good and that the Royals they needed to retcon the Jarren Duran trade. For those, again, that may still not think Isaac Collins is good or that Lane Thomas is good, and that you wanted to have Jarren Duran, if that thought still sits in the back of your skull, Jarren Duran this year in 372 plate appearances, not a small sample, is slashing 193, 259, 351, a 64 weighted runs created plus. He's a positive WAR guy only because of his speed and defense. That's it. The strikeout rate has increased significantly. The walk rate is down. The ISO is way down. It's down over 100 points 2 consecutive years. Oh, sorry, that was the BABIP. I apologize. But 207 ISO in 24, 185 last year, 158 this year. He's just not, and he's not even hitting doubles. Like he had 48 doubles 2 years ago, 41 in 25, and then only 10 this year.
Yeah.
Like he's just not a good player. And it would have taken way more than Angel Serpa to get Jaron Duran. Like you would have given up something significant. I don't believe that the mock-up of a Cole Reagans for Jaron Duran 1-for-1 would have been the trade. It would have been a Churio type. It would have been a Shields type. And imagine if they gave up that for Jaron Duran. I mean, the arrows slung JJ Piccolo's way would have been, I mean, if you think it's bad now, good God. But again, that's one of those where it's risk mitigation. And they did a good job of recognizing that, oh, this guy's a declining player back-to-back years. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we should do that. And also the person, I don't know, man.
I mean, you think about it, I do think that, one of the big things was like the Royals needed to do more on offense, and they've really done a good job with that. I mean, Collins and Thomas have been very good offensive additions, and you look at the alternatives, like the alternatives wouldn't have been that great, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? That's not counting some other ones that have been out there that have been very negative players. So I do think, as much as we want to say like, oh, the Royals didn't make a splash. And the reality is too, is that free agency is getting harder and harder because teams are signing their young stars to longer and longer deals. There's less guys available in free agency. The guys who do hit free agency, unless they're an Aaron Judge or a Juan Soto, they're going to have a ton of flaws and they're not going to be typically aging, or they're not going to be aging in the right direction. And so I thought, I think JJ decided to go with a combo here with Collins and Thomas over maybe a bigger name like a Jaron Duran. And I think that's really worked out. And the Royals haven't lost anything as they would have if they had made that Duran trade.
Yeah. Starling Marte was a late ad. I'm just throwing this in here just briefly. Like, listen, he's hitting 274 and getting on base at a 340 clip against left-handed pitching. Doing a job. That's all you can ask of a guy that's 37 years old. Yeah. And probably a guy that, again, will not be around much longer, or if he is purely there just veteran mentor, sure. Like, I think Jack has talked about the type of impact that Starling Marte has had on him and helping him through his at-bats and learning and stuff like that at the big league level. So there is a value in that. You also have Salvador Perez. And I don't know how many 37-year-old declining players you needed to have on your team. But I imagine Marte ends up somewhere else coming August 3rd.
For $1 million, I mean, and it's
a rounding error if you have to get rid of it anyways.
Yeah,
like exactly. no one bites at it at the trade deadline. Okay, hey Starling, here's your check. Thank you very much. Go on, do good things.
Yeah, no. So I think, but it's been fine. It's been a fine deal for a bench bat. It's like I'm not going to argue on that.
Not at all. Okay, so this was the one that really, really bit him this year, and we talked a little bit about this with the series in Baltimore. But the 1-for-1 swap of Matt Strahm for Jonathan Bolin, at the time, I liked the move because I didn't think that highly of Jonathan Bolin. Like, I saw it, and I saw it at the big league level, and I'm like, yeah, maybe. Like, maybe he's like a fringy reliever. Maybe he's your long reliever type. But I didn't see it as much. And he really didn't get a chance his first 2 years. Had an opportunity last year and threw 44 in the third innings, a 3.86 ERA. The walks had kind of gotten him a little bit. It was 17 walks in those 44 innings, but a little over a strikeout per inning. This year for the Phillies, it's a 3.03 ERA in 29 and 2/3 innings, 37 strikeouts to 7 walks. And he's starting to throw some more leverage innings for them, and the stuff is really good. Excuse me. Seems like they've kind of unlocked something with him, and hindsight is always 20/20. But this is certainly one that looks like it because I don't know if you've looked at his Savant page. Bright red.
A lot of
red is good, folks. A lot of red. A 2.53 expected ERA, less than 200 expected batting average. No one's hitting him hard. He's getting a 33% whiff rate. The chase rate's above 32%. The strikeout rate's at 30%. He's not getting barreled. The ground ball rate's 50% because of the sinker. this one looks really bad. Having Jonathan Bolin would help you a ton this year if this is the type of pitcher that he is. Now, who knows if he's this guy in Kansas City, right? Maybe Philly clearly they saw something, identified something, and unlocked it. But I think even if you just get the Jonathan Bolin that you got last year, your bullpen is way better.
Correct. And I think that's the big thing is you got to tip your cap to Philly in some ways. Like obviously he's been a lot better with his sinker. His sinker stuff plus is a lot higher than it was in previous years. I mean, he's allowing less homers, which was kind of the big issue that
was a problem last year. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really surprising because on paper, you think that Citizens Bank is more of a home run friendly park than Kauffman, but we've seen that not be an issue for home runs for Stram in Philly, and then he goes to Kansas City, it's a problem, and vice versa. But like you said, I think if you would have had a 3.7, a 3.5 ERA Bolin, that would be probably their closer right now. I mean, it's like, I mean, that's the reality.
Like,
I think
at the very least,
at the setup end, like, I mean, I think Jonathan Bolin would probably be one of their top relievers right now. And I think it's hard. I get it. Like he was 28 last year. He's 29 this year. He's gone through a lot of injuries. He never really like took possession of a spot in the bullpen last year, but you always saw the potential. And like you said, it's not only did you trade him for a guy who struggled, but you trade him for a guy who struggled. It's only going to be here for a year. And then you have more long-term value with Jonathan Bolin. The Phillies have more long-term value with Jonathan Bolin. So that's another double whammy in that sense.
Yeah, I got a friend, Patrick Brennan, who at the time, he recently left the job, but he was with the Phillies.
Yeah.
And worked for them in R&D. And he said even at the time, he was like, listen, I know the Royals want short-term bullpen help, but trading 1 year of Matt Strahm for 5 years of Jonathan Bolin I don't understand this one. And then obviously that has been bared out even more in Jonathan Bolin looks pretty good. And Matt Strahm, who knows how much longer they're even going to let this go, right? It's a 1 year deal. He's 34. No one's going to bite at him at the deadline. So do they just go, hey man, have fun on your farm in Neosho? Like there's just, I mean, at a certain point, it just becomes the definition of insanity. We've already seen that at multiple stretches with this bullpen. And I know they need innings, but I'd rather see innings from guys that are going to be around beyond this year. Potentially could be around beyond this year. Matt Strahm will not be that.
Yeah, and you want to give innings, especially your 21 games under 500. I mean, at this point, you need to give innings to guys with upside, and Stram just doesn't have upside. He not just for his contract, but just his age, where he's at. And, I'm guessing John Schreiber is probably going to be out of Kansas City pretty soon. Who knows? There might be another arm that gets thrown in that mix. And if that's the case, it's like we got to see what some of our young arms got. And I know it's not a great group in Omaha and maybe Northwest Arkansas, but I'd rather have that than another guy that is not going to be part of this team's future beyond 2026.
That's the problem is I'm on Roster Resource and Fangraphs, like –
it's tough. Not great. So
there aren't really any arms because I was sitting there. I was going to try and just play a game of like, okay, who do you want to see get a chance in Kansas City in the second half? That is kind of a wrap bow on this because I don't think we needed to like. Obviously, the Reagan's injury sucks. The Bubic injury sucks. Like they tried to mitigate that and have a little bit of risk management by going in. You have Berger, you have Kolick, you have Spence. You try and build some of this depth and. Then the depth all gets hurt or they suck. So it's like, I don't know what to do with this. That's just part of this. And it's an unfortunate thing. Royals are also not the only team dealing with injuries, right, to their key guys. It is what it is. There should be, not that you should be able to play through that, but part of the game. But I'm looking at these AAA pitchers.
It's not good.
And like Henry Williams, Ben Sears, Ethan Bosacker, Ryan Ramsey. They just signed Vince Velasquez to a minor league deal. Like, good God, they just need arms in AAA. And then you look at the relievers like 33-year-old Scott Barlow, Dan Altavilla's back, Genesis Cabrera, Justin Topa's 35. Shane Panzini, but he hasn't been good. Matt Moore, 37, still kicking around in AAA. There's just no one.
Yeah.
And then if you look at Double A, like Dennis Colleran has the stuff, but he walks everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like Brandon Johnson, Tommy Molsky, like there's just nobody. The upper minors is so bad, and it's a major problem and a big reason why the Royals are sitting where they are is they have no upper minors help. That is anything besides, in a pinch, maybe that guy can help you, but they just don't have much else. All of the talent, all of the guys that we like, all the guys we think have a big league upside that are going to be able to help you in Kansas City, high A or lower.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see what this draft class does to help get guys to Double A, and maybe that shifts some of our mindset over these last couple of months because, like, maybe a Ramon Ramirez, give him a bump. He's done really well in high A. You mentioned Luke Pelzer, who I'm intrigued by. Like, I don't know how real it is, but certainly interesting. The Shields, the Churios, those guys will be in Double A next year. Langevin will be there. We'll see Hammond and Gamble and all of these guys that are killing it now in Columbia are going to be there. You're going to add a Zion Rose. You're going to add a Taylor Rabe. They're going to add some of this, and Lombardi ends up probably in high A. I'd give him a cup of coffee there at the end of this year because he punches out the world in low A. I'm not sure how much longer he needs to be punching out 18-year-old Dominican kids in low A. Like, give a little different competition there. 96 strikeouts in 64 innings. Good God. Now 41 walks in there too. But so that screams reliever to me. But hey, I'll take a guy that just punches tickets, and that's all he's going to do. I kind of got off the rails there for a second. Help me land this plane. Do you have any other thoughts on?
No, I think it's
like the first half and what we want to see moving forward.
And the big thing is like we're gonna. It'll be interesting to see what the returns are from the trades because I imagine the returns are probably going to be more on the pitching end than anything. Yeah. Especially like you said, you got a lot of aging vets in AAA. AA doesn't really have a lot of high-profile guys. Steven Zobak has been healthy.
But he's been hurt a bunch, so it's hard to tell.
So if he can stay healthy down the stretch, I imagine he gets a cup of coffee, even if it's just as like a 2 to 3 inning reliever or something of that sort. Mm-hmm. At least like you have somebody with some upside there. But you're right. It's hard because it's like we know guys like Stram aren't the future. We know that keeping them on the bullpen right now is more frustrating than enjoyable. But there's not like a lot of guys that are great options there either, too. And high and AAA and AA have been the worst teams record-wise this year for the minor league affiliates. So that's not a good sign when you don't have those options either. But hopefully that changes after the trade deadline.
Yeah, certainly. Who is one guy, if you can just kind of put your stamp on it now, that you want to see make his big league debut in the second half of the season?
I would say if I want a guy making their big league debut, I probably would say that I would really like to see Steven Zobak make his big league debut. I think right now he's in AA. He's looking fine. I imagine he'll get a cup of coffee in AAA. I don't think you need to keep him up in AAA very long. I think having pitchers.
AAA is a joke.
It's a joke. The hitting environments are terrible. Stephen Kolek was posting like 5-6 ERAs when his time with Omaha. That place is just a bandbox. And so I just think that I'd like to see him come up because he's on the 40-man roster. And I think, this upcoming offseason, they're probably going to have to make some tough choices. I mean, they already made a tough choice with letting go of Sarantola, right? And saying like, hey, he's just not going to be part of this. So I'd like to see Zobak get some time in the majors, maybe even if it's just like a 2 to 3 outings in September. At least we get to see him, at least to get to see him throw on the mound.
The guy I want to see is Brent Squires, just because I want to see if it's real. Like, because the guy's hit at every level. And then he got to AAA, and it's just shot up even more. The power production's nuts. Now, some of that is the AAA hitting environment is insane. So I want to know, like, is what he is doing translatable, or is this just a guy that got to AAA and is great and then is just not going to translate to the big league level? But I want to see it because he's hit everywhere. Like 129 weighted runs created plus in high A, 151 or in low A, 151 in high A, 105 last year in his first go round to Double A, 136 before his promotion. Now it's a 124, and he's got 12 home runs in 49 games. I don't know where they're going to put him.
Yeah,
I think you just stick him in the outfield and pray that he's not Nelson Velasquez or Edward Olivares levels of terrible in the outfield. But I would just want to see it happen, just see what it can do. I mean, the dude mashes, the dude's hit everywhere, and maybe you've got a diamond in the rough here. You know, a guy that's 26 years old that has just found a way to make it, and he's a UDFA, so it would be a good story. A dude that wasn't even drafted that ended up in Kansas City and has had a productive minor league career, worthy of a shot for 6 weeks. You know, at the end of the season, with the season being where it is, even if he's not playing every day. Just give him an opportunity. And just because I want to see if it's real. And if it's not, no skin off my back. I'm not going to pound the table for Brent Squires in 27 if he's got a 60 weighted runs created plus. But I just want to see if he can do it right before, you know, he either ages out or gets Rule 5 or whatever the case.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a similar situation like CJ Alexander like a couple of years
Yes,
ago.
I just want to see it.
Yeah, just if he's good, keep him up. If not, well, at least we gave him a shot. You know, again, I'd rather see guys like that than like a Cameron Meisner or something. It's like we know what these guys are. Like we don't need and the outfield is probably going to be opened up with Thomas being traded. So there's going to be more opportunities for guys like Squires to get a shot.
Yeah, certainly. Any final thoughts before we get out of here? I appreciate you guys doing you hopping on and doing an hour-long show. Appreciate you guys that are watching this on YouTube, listening later for a little bit longer episodes. We put a bow on the first half of the Major League Baseball season.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's we had some pretty decent performances in the futures game. I know Kendry Churrio struck out a batter in 2/3.
Struck out Charlie Condon.
I know. This is going to be a really interesting time because, again, Royals, it's probably as bad as it can get. I mean, you're 21 games under 500. You're tied for the worst record in baseball. I would like to see the Royals be aggressive out of the gate in terms of making transactions, not because they're trying to get better, but in terms of the short term, but trying to make those deals in the long term. I think that's now with the draft done. I think it's going to be clearer. And that's something I've always heard is that it's harder to make deals until the draft happens because all your energy is going into the draft. And now that that's out of the way and you have a better sense of what your org looks like and what your needs are, we're going to start to see more of those trades. So I'm hoping we see that after the All-Star break, some deals done.
I'm hoping to see the same. Before we get out of here, I do want to mention one more thing. I had it on the rundown and I didn't get to it because we got, Turnpike, the GOATs. The Home Run Derby is Monday. Jac Caglianone is participating. I don't think I've done a show since he officially announced. The Derby class is awesome. And it's on Netflix for those that hate paywall stuff. I'm sorry that I don't make the rules. But the 8 guys participating, you got 2 Philly guys in Schwarber and Harper, Junior Caminero, who finished runner-up last year, Ben Rice for the Yankees, Wilson Contreras, Jordan Walker, Munetaka Murakami comes off the IL, gets an all-star bid, and he's hitting in the Derby, and then Jack. I saw the initial conversation, and it's something that gets brought up every year when it comes to the Derby. Oh, it's going to ruin his swing. Oh, he's going to try and hit homers, and it's going to there have been studies done on this stuff. There is zero correlation. If you can go look it up. There are online, not even like paywalled scientific studies. Like this is all stuff that people have looked at. Spin zone, I think this will help him in his swing a lot because what does Jack do far too often? Roll over and hit the ball on the ground.
Yep.
I think just the visual of trying to hit home runs in this particular event will help him see, line drives, home runs, and just seeing the ball do that, I think will have a huge difference. Juan Soto talked about that. I think it was in 2021 when he did the Derby. He was like, I think at that, and I looked it up, he had like a 57% ground ball rate going into the Derby. And he said, I'm hitting too many balls on the ground. I think this might help me. And the ground ball rate was still too high for him, but he had 18 home runs in the second half and slugged near 600. Bobby Witt Jr. did it, and he was already really good in the first half, and he went bonkers in the second half after that, and he had an equal home run output with more doubles and a slug around 600. So there are examples recently of this helping guys, this actually being beneficial to their swings, and ground balls in the big leagues, especially rolled over ground balls, are outs. Line drives and home runs, good. Those are going to, and for Jac Caglianone to reach his full potential, consistently getting to those power outcomes is going to be the reason why he's a really successful big leaguer. And I would not be shocked if he goes in and kills it. I don't think he'll win. I think Camanero's going to, I think that would be my guess. But Jac's swing is so sweet and so effortless. And with it being now not a timed event, not just swing as many times as you can kind of take your time, pick your pitches, kind of like in the old days a little bit. It's swings instead of outs. It's not 10 outs. I think it's 20 swings. He could go and hit 20 homers.
Yes.
Because he doesn't have to do much to hit them out. He could flip balls over the left center fence if he wants to. Do you think Jac hits a ball 500?
I think it's possible. I mean, I think it depends on like what the weather conditions are, but I think it's possible. And to kind of further your point, one guy that really had a boost after the home run derby was Bobby Witt Jr. So Bobby Witt Jr. had a good little boost after the home run derby. So anybody that's worried, like it happened to Bobby Abreu in like 1999. Let's get over it, okay? He'll be fine. But I think Jac could really. I think if Jac gets hot, I think he could win the thing because I just think like he's the kind of hitter with that easy power that could really stay.
They did home run derby practice before the game. Like his dad was in Baltimore throwing to him because his dad is going to be the one pitching to him, which is, I think that's always one of the coolest parts of the derby is when the dad comes back and throws to the hitter. I think it's just like one of those cool moments. But Jac was what Joel Goldberg said. He was hitting the warehouse, or he was one hopping the warehouse on Utah Street. So just his BP is special, and now this is like a specialized BP where it's the power rounds are fun, but that's literally all you're trying to do. But that'll be great. Bobby's starting for the American League. That's awesome. Michael Wacha made the All-Star team. I think he'll pitch. Yeah. I think he might get an inning, which again for him being an 11-year gap between All-Star appearances is really cool, well deserved. Mm-hmm. So all of this to say, I think it's going to be a really cool couple of days for a couple of guys for the Royals in a down season to showcase, the talent that they have and the skill that they have, especially the young guys in Jac and Bobby.
Absolutely. And it's something to look forward to. For Bobby's first start after not getting it the last 2 years. It'll be nice. It'll be something positive in a first half that's been anything but.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk later this week after the Derby. I'll do after the Derby and the All-Star game later this week. I'll send out a tweet. I'm thinking I'm going to do a mailbag before the second half, and we'll get into that. And then next week we'll get back to the regular live post-game shows. We had to call an audible today just with some scheduling stuff on a Sunday for the first time all year. None of our schedules lined up, and so we had to pivot. Did this instead. It's been great, Kevin. Thank you very much. Once again, guys, like, rate, subscribe, review, and we will talk next week. Hope you guys enjoy the Derby and the All-Star game. We'll get ready for the second half of the season soon. Take care.